I got a dumb thing to talk about. You guys remember Froggy Fresh? Remember that guy?
Oh yeah.
Froggy Fresh, great. Tariq, you know Froggy Fresh?
No.
So is this guy, this dude from Michigan. He used to go by Krispy Kreme. You remember there was a song that he put out? It went viral because it was like really bad, but it's actually bad on purpose, and that was kind of the magic, is people didn't know it was on purpose. And it's called "The Baddest." You never seen that song? I am the baddest of them all. You know that?
No,
I'll show you a link. He's very
Might be before
funny.
your time.
Yeah, he went on Tosh.0 and did a really funny song on Tosh.0. But I've seen him live. He's very funny. I think his music is really, really fun and funny. But he was kind of tired of doing it. He wanted to be taken more seriously with his music and kind of stopped. But yesterday, his channel posted their first video in forever, and it was a promo for this other thing they're doing, where every week on this other channel they're doing this little talk show thing called Froggy Fresh Basement, and it's basically like a little talk show where they're talking about current events, and then they write a song about current events. So this week but it's all kind of in character. So this week they're talking about like the Ezra Miller stuff, but the way he's talking about it, he's like, so there's this new superhero, the Flash, and apparently he's kidnapping people. And then he wrote a song called Taken by the Flash, and it's been stuck in my head all day. So if y'all remember Froggy Fresh / Krispy Kreme, go check out his new channel, Froggy Fresh Basement. It's really funny, and he's going to have a new song every week. I'm pretty excited about it. So check that one out. And don't get taken by the Flash.
Yeah, man. That's bad vibes.
It's bad vibes. Bad vibes.
There's room for two in the Speed Force, right?
It's a good question. We've never seen more than one person enter the Speed Force.
That's true. That's true.
But we did see him enter it twice.
You have to be the Flash to enter the Speed Force, right?
Yeah, I think that's right. Which is probably why they can't find him. I think that explains everything, doesn't it?
Good point.
Yeah. But at least we know that entering the Speed Force was the greatest scene in cinema over the past year.
I stood up and cheered. You know, when that happened, what a cheer moment.
I stood up and cheered.
Yeah, by myself in my room watching on my iPad. I stood up and I just Oh man. All right, well, I don't know. That's all I got. I just wanted to talk about Froggy Fresh. Any other news?
Nice little recommendation for the people. Something for them to listen to when this podcast not in their ear.
Yeah.
You know.
Check out. He does. The funny thing though is like his songs and his music videos have this whole weird world built around them. Like his best friend is named Moneymaker Mike, but he never talks or does anything, and he's just in the music videos. And he's got like whole like short film music videos. There's like a 2-parter where Moneymaker Mike gets addicted to a drug called Fun Trip or something, and then becomes like a drug dealer, and it's about him going to like help him out of the gang to get get back and stop being addicted to the Fun Trip.
Nice.
It just looked like candy. It's good stuff, but the songs are good. That's what makes it fun. The songs are good.
Okay, that's good vibes.
Yeah, good vibes. All right, let's cue the theme song. We can talk about Lightyear.
Let's do it.
I've been watching them for years. It's always been something that fit with all the animated characters that's doing their own bits. With a fry who's in the future and a family guy that sucks. With a father from a hill, a burger family runs a lot. The show and Spies is the same guy, except he totally say and diverse.
Let's watch cartoons that curse.
Yeah, that's bananas.
As rough.
What the f*** is up, everybody? Welcome to Cartoons That Curse. This is like a special edition of Cartoons That Curse, because this isn't really a cartoon that curses. Normally, we would save something like this for the Patreon, but since it's new, we wanted to talk about Lightyear. Lightyear, the new Pixar film that just released in the theaters, the first Pixar film to release in theaters since Onward. Like 3 or 4 movies now that have not, and then even Onward was in for like 2 weeks before the pandemic hit, so that barely counts.
Yeah. Well, I saw Onward in theaters.
Well, good for you.
Lucky you.
Yeah, For real. I think I probably would have walked out of Onward feeling a little better than I did this one. And I don't love it. I don't even love Onward.
We got
lots
to talk about it.
I guess before we jump in, though, the one thing I also do want to say is that if you enjoyed this conversation, we have been leading up to this on the Patreon by talking about all of the Toy Stories. We've covered Toy Stories 1 through 4. We're actually going to be releasing this week one on the Toy Story specials and shorts that were on TV and in front of movies. So if you want to hear us talk about the Toy Story verse, we've got a bunch on there. $5 a month. You can get a bunch of bonus episodes. Yeah. Including all 4 Toy Stories, all 4 Shreks, Puss in Boots, Paddington 2, Ted 2, and Anomalisa, the one that kind of stands out as the odd one out.
Yeah, just the random one we wanted to do.
Some of the best episodes of the podcast are on the Patreon.
For sure.
I was just I'm on them.
Those Teds.
But that is honestly a big reason, Mikey. You're good. I was listening back to our TED episodes just the last couple of days. They're fucking great. We killed it. We really nailed it. And they're also just interesting, weird movies to talk about. Like they just have such a weird place in movie history. So we had good conversations about them. And also TED 2 is baffling.
Bro. I was talking about TED 2 yesterday, and I just was like, man, my roommate, he kept calling it a fall from grace. Because he really loves the first one.
He really loves the first one.
Fall from grace.
But you know you've messed up when even TED fans are like, nah, TED 2 sucks.
Exactly. Yeah. Like even as a Family Guy fan, I was like, bro, this is not the one. I don't know what this is about.
Oh man,
they ruined the Thunder Buddy song.
Song.
Nobody else knew the Thunder Buddy song. Why were they all so excited when they sang it on stage? You're taking me out of the world. It doesn't make sense. All right, let's talk about Lightyear. So the big
wait, who are you?
Oh shit,
we
didn't do that,
Johnny Two Cellos.
Oh, you're right.
We didn't do that,
guys.
We gotta introduce ourselves.
I'm fucking blowing up. My name is Johnny Two Cellos. I am the host of Cartoons That Curse, along with my friend Tariq. Tariq, how you doing, Tariq?
I'm all right.
He's all right.
Okay.
He's all right. And we are here with our producer, editor, and co-host of Cartoons That Curse After Dark, Michael Yunez. And he's here since we've been talking Toy Story on the Patreon, and he covers every episode on our Patreon with us. He's here to talk Lightyear with us today. How you doing, Mikey?
I'm doing great. I'm, handling the housekeeping, making sure we're on track, doing everything we're supposed to do here.
That's right, man. Got your producer hat on, man.
This podcast would not happen without Michael Yunez.
That's right.
We would have a bunch of recorded stuff, and none of them would go out. And so if you like the podcast, make sure to tweet out your thanks to Mikey Yunez.
That's true. Yeah, do it.
So yeah, like I said, we're here to talk about Lightyear, the spinoff / kind of spinoff of Toy Story. It's about the real guy. I don't know if it's confusing to you. It seems to be very confusing to a lot of people.
Apparently so much so that they have to open the movie explaining what it is.
I wish they didn't do that.
I think it further confuses it. I think everything that they have been trying to, like, their explanation for this movie makes it so confusing. Because, like, fundamentally, it is a movie adapted from the toy from Toy Story. Empirically, that is what it is. And yet they keep insisting that it is the movie that the toy was based on, which I feel like is such an uphill battle to explain to people that we're pretending like this is what the toy came from.
Right. I even think if you're like so dedicated to making this be a property that exists in the Toy Story universe, it would have made more sense for like Buzz Lightyear to have been like a TV show, and this was like the movie reboot that later came out.
Yes,
even like a G.I. Joe thing where the toy comes first, and then they just kind of made a movie based on because we do that already with like Legos and
Transformers,
shit like that,
man. Yeah, there's so much.
So,
and also there are things in the movie that just don't work with that explanation. Like the big one to me is like the catchphrase "to infinity and beyond." Like they are clearly subverting it and making it a smaller moment between the characters, which is cool because everybody knows to infinity and beyond. But there's no way that they would come out of that. Andy wouldn't come out of there going to infinity and beyond, like it's his phrase when he springs into action, where does that come from? It's just a small line in the movie.
And especially because like they go so far, like some of my big eye rolls in this movie were that they were so dedicated to like saying all the same stuff that we saw Buzz say in the first Toy Story. Like that opening thing when he walks onto that planet and he's just like, the ground seems unstable, no sign of intelligent life anywhere. And it's all the same exact shit that Buzz, and they were not his catchphrases that he has the buttons for, the things that he was saying, like the toy was saying.
The toy, yeah. And then he says, you're mocking me, aren't you?
Yes. He says, there's so many of them.
Oh, wait a second.
I didn't even catch a line.
Hey guys, if you haven't seen the movie and care about spoilers, maybe you shouldn't watch this.
Oh yeah. I will. Maybe in the video we'll just put a spoiler warning up. Put spoiler warning before this starts. Spoilers for Lightyear ahead. Yeah, we did. Granted, those weren't big spoilers. So,
right? No, absolutely. But
spoilers. He doesn't go to the Old West at the end, which is what I was predicting on After Dark, that he would go really through a time portal and end up in the Old West and meet Woody. Which, the more time travel became a part of this movie, the more excited I was. I'm like, it's gonna happen. They're gonna do it.
I also don't want to just come in like guns blazing and being like, it was so fucking bad. Because there were cool things about it. Like,
there were.
But I guess we all were kind of like, I don't think any of us were like coming in being like, can't fucking wait for Lightyear. But I think we were all pretty optimistic. I feel like we were all pretty optimistic that Pixar could make a good, fun space adventure.
Yeah.
And I found myself really enjoying, I think the animation is great. I think it's a really good looking movie. I really liked a lot of the world. I liked a lot of the world building, but like there were aspects of the world building that I was like, oh, I wish we had gotten to see more of that. Like there's this whole plot in it where basically the whole inciting incident of the movie is that Buzz messes up and strands this whole large spaceship of people who are like colonizing other planets on the wrong planet, a planet that's not good for them to inhabit. And so he feels bad about this, and he's trying to fix the problem the whole movie so that they can escape, which requires traveling forward through time 4 years at a time or whatever. So he's passing by all of the progress that this thing is making. Right after the opening sequence, they do this awesome time lapse showing the ship go back upright and then building out the colony. And that time lapse like captured my imagination so much more than so much in this movie. I was like, I want to see them having to like survive and colonize and adapt to this planet. That sounds cool. Like that sounds like a cool world to me. So I don't know. And like, I guess we didn't even talk about this. The movie is underperforming because part of me was like, oh, we could probably see more cool world building stuff in a sequel, but I'm not convinced that will happen.
Yeah, I don't know, man. They might dub it. That shit was crazy. Because honestly, like when we said we were gonna do this, and I like went to my roommates, and I'm like, all right, man, I gotta like, I think I was phrasing it like I gotta go see Lightyear for work. So let's figure this out. And then it was really early in the morning, and I tried to go and like get tickets. And like I'm like, all right, man, we might have to go tomorrow or something. But there was so many seats open. I was confused at that just because like 2 weeks prior I tried to see Bob's the first weekend and it was practically sold out. So that's what it really like it confused me. So I was like, either all of the Bob's Burgers fans are localized in Philadelphia, or
I think
or nobody's seeing.
There are probably also probably fewer screens for Bob's Burgers. I would guess that's probably going to fill up those theaters.
That's true.
But it is weird because like it didn't have a terrible weekend. It made 51 million, which all things considered for an animated, like the problem is that this movie cost 200 million, as we were talking about earlier.
Right.
That's not an ideal first weekend for a $200 million movie.
Yeah,
but it's not a full flop. But
it was also released when America has Dominion fever. You know,
I was going to bring that
Dominion up. Is dominating.
It's for some reason it is, and
Is it really? That shit going hard like that,
dude. But Buzz is gonna lead number 2 the box office under the second week of Jurassic World Dominion, which is gonna make 57 million. It is, especially because nobody likes the new Jurassic World. I think people like Lightyear more than they like Jurassic World.
I mean, 57 million is a huge drop off for Dominion, but.
Is it
opened so huge? Yeah.
So just a weird. So did it open that big?
It opened like 150 or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, but really the
like
nation
Maverick.
has. But really the nation has Top Gun fever right now. Let's be real.
It's true.
Where's Top Gun? Is it 3?
Probably 3, but it's surpassed 800 million.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
Man, if Lightyear
I'm not worried about it.
If Lightyear had just been Top Gun Maverick, man, that would be so good.
Man, could you imagine if Lightyear was a better movie?
Tom Cruise as Buzz Lightyear.
That is insane to me, though. Like, let's just take a little moment, even though I haven't seen it yet. The fact that Top Gun is going to make $1 billion is something I never in a million years would have predicted.
I've been saying that since the shit came out, bro. Like, I'm genuinely shocked. Like, I just don't.
I knew people liked it.
Tom Cruise,
I didn't
like
think it wasn't
biggest...
good. I didn't think it was gonna flop and no shit like that. You know what I mean? Like I thought it was gonna do well, but
it's crazy that Tom Cruise has been the biggest movie star for decades now, and it's his biggest opening.
It's his biggest. It's his highest.
Crazy.
It's his highest grossing film now.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
It's hit at 800 million. It is his highest grossing film.
Jeez.
And that is crazy because he is like the movie star.
Guy.
Like
Yeah,
he
the
is
guy.
the movie star, especially for like these big action movies.
Mhm.
But like the fact that Top Gun started shooting 5 years ago, they had it done before the pandemic. It was supposed to
Word.
come out that year, and they were just like, we're gonna wait. And even when things were starting to come out in theaters and simultaneously on streaming, they were like, no, we're gonna wait. We want it to come out when the movies are back. And I never thought it was going to do badly, but I was always kind of like, man, they're really betting on this movie. I never expected that it would have this kind of pull, this kind
That
of an
shit going
impact.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the movies are back, baby. I'm so glad about it because like it broke like Memorial Day or not? Was it Memorial Day? It like broke records and
that was
whatnot.
that weekend. Yeah, Memorial Day weekend.
I mean, there was a period of time earlier in the pandemic when I was like, I guess all of the records are going to stand because nothing's ever going to get broken again.
Right.
You know, like we're never going to go back to the movies in the same way. But glad to be wrong about that.
Yeah, for real. I still need to go see Maverick. And that's the other thing is just like everyone I've talked to has seen it. It was like even people who are like I've never like Mikey, you've never seen the first Top Gun. I've seen people who didn't really care for the first Top Gun, and everyone fucking loves the new Top Gun. I have not met a single person who doesn't like the new Top Gun.
That's so funny because I was literally just saying to my roommates like a couple hours ago how we were all saying that we don't. Well, two of us were saying that we don't know anybody who's seen it. So now I know that Mikey's seen it. But I was like, how the fuck is it making so much money and I don't know anybody? Like I was that was confusing me too. But now I know somebody, so now I can understand.
For sure. So maybe we should do Top Gun Maverick on the Patreon.
I was just gonna say that would be great.
I do need to go see it. I'm gonna go see it soon. I need to see it in the theater before it's
Get
gone.
that big screen.
Yeah, exactly. Although now like Lightyear and Jurassic World are going to be in all the IMAX and Dolbys. I'll see if I can find it. Maybe it'll jump back in because, well, Jurassic World's doing well, so that might not leave the big screens, but we'll find out. Okay, back to Lightyear. So we're all on the same page. Me, Mikey, Tariq, all thought it was pretty mid.
Kind of a mid sandwich, but I would say with the caveat that it's got the bread in the middle. It's like meat, bread, meat, mid
sandwich. That was so weird.
Nice.
What a weird bit. Although the thing about it, I did appreciate that like their reaction to them being like that the bread is normally on the outside was like, well, that's just too much bread. And I thought that was funny.
You're like, where's the meat?
Because they're kind of right. But
it like reminded me of like the Doctor Strange. The like the red means go in this universe.
It means
like
I thought the
like
same
arbitrary
thing.
like difference, you know.
I thought the same exact thing. The only saving grace I thought for this one was that, like, well, yeah, they're kind of right. That is too much bread. that is a lot of bread.
Even though it's like you have to hold the slimy meats.
Yeah, that's where it doesn't.
What do you
track.
call it? He said like juicy fingers or some shit like that.
Yeah, juicy
like
fingers.
the like pickles were like sliding off the thing.
Yeah, that shit was bad vibes. I didn't like that.
That was weird.
I would say for the most part, I didn't really care for like the team, like the other.
Oh, absolutely.
That's I think the biggest problem with this movie. I mean, there's other problems too, but I think I probably would have forgiven some of the plot issues that I found lackluster if I had really liked all of the side characters.
Yeah. You know what it kind of reminded me of? It reminded me of like how a lot of people felt about the team in Big Hero 6. But I think that's different though. I think it's funny that it's kind of comparable, but like at the same time, like Big Hero 6, there's 6 of them, and you can't focus on all of them in a movie, but there's significantly less this time. But it's
I
still
also think I like all of that team better than this team in Big Hero 6. I really do.
I think the issue with Big Hero 6 was just like, these guys are kind of cool, but like we don't get to know them because everything has to move so fucking fast, and that's why like people like the cartoon because they
they flesh it out. And then there's going to be a whole nother cartoon, the Baymax cartoon's coming out soon. And even like, you know, like one of those guys, one of those team members, don't even remember his name. He's played by Taika. I love Taika. I think Taika gives funny performances, and like he had a couple lines that because he'll always pull something. He'll always deliver something in a funny way, no matter what he's in. But this one, I didn't care for that character. I didn't laugh much at his character. In general, didn't laugh much at the humor in this movie, which was disappointing.
Man, at the end when he's like, "I've already got my team," I was still like, "They're still kind of incompetent." I don't think they're a good Space Ranger team.
Maybe you got like you got like somebody on your team, because I can see why you would want to use the granddaughter. But like after that, I was like,
maybe they could be like engineers, or they stay behind and they help out the team or something.
They definitely need to do like at least a boot camp before they go out into space.
At the very least.
Yeah.
Or honestly, they really could have just kept it to, what is it, Hawthorne? Like the granddaughter character. They could have just kept it to her.
And she's the one who I liked the most. I still didn't care that much for. I liked her grandmother more. I thought that was one of the sadder things is like Alicia Hawthorne, who, spoilers, ends up dying because Buzz keeps traveling forward in time to try and fix this hyperspace crystal problem. And so he basically just passes his best friend's life by, which I think is like one of the things dramatically that works the best in the movie.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that section is the best part of the movie. That sequence when he's like, he keeps fucking trying and like he keeps coming back and like they getting older and all this shit is changing. Like, and it is like, it's kind of like Futurama a little bit, where like when you think about what actually happened to Fry, it's like grossly tragic. Like it's the same thing with Buzz. It's like he lost everybody he like cared about in like 30 minutes. Like, and he doesn't even realize it's like 30 minutes for him, but like for them, they lived like full lives.
Yes, agreed. And that's like, and I guess that's the one thing that like does work best the movie for me, is like, even though I feel like they could have done a little bit better job with his arc, the idea that Buzz is this character who is so fixated on his big mistake that he's letting his own happiness in life pass him by in order to make up for that mistake, literally. Literally letting the whole, and then he's so fixated on it that he can't even take the time to sit down and realize like, oh shit, dude, it's been like 80 years now. Do all of these people who you're trying to help, they've been living here for decades. This is this is some people's home. There are people born here who have never known anywhere different. Like, do you think those people really want to leave? Like, is that you don't have any real connection to what the people here want anymore?
They have schools and graduations, apparently.
See,
exactly.
And that's okay. I'm about to make us jump around, but that is something that like I haven't been able to like stop thinking about since I saw the movie, was just kind of the missed opportunity with that stuff, right? Because after Buzz finds out that his homie passed, like new buddy comes in and he's like, oh, I'm about to move into my office, and he tells him about like, oh, you about to build this dome and you about to stay here, and like that kind of thing. I felt as though, because first of all, like ripping the Band-Aid off, like I sincerely feel like I don't want to be mean, but like I'll just say I fucking hated that twist. Like, but
it's
it
a bad
being
twist.
buzzed, Zurg being buzzed the whole time, I fucking hated that shit. And I felt like it should have been the new commander because he wanted to fucking stay. That it just in my head that just made sense to me.
But the problem is that the commander is kind of right. Like I think he wasn't.
Yeah, I think so too.
he wasn't like. Okay, I will say I think the execution of the twist is bad. The way that it's like, A, there's nothing to set it up. B, it's very confusing. The mechanics of it don't really track. I do think, though, that on paper, Buzz having to face the version of himself that cannot let go of his mistake even that deep into his life is good. I just think I'm so caught up in the poor execution of it and how little it was set up and how little I like cared about, like, and the fact that it was Zurg who ended up being him, that is frustrating as someone who's like, I can't wait to see Zurg,
Exactly.
like,
and then it's just fucking
also
Buzz.
It's like the Zurg toy, thinks that he's Buzz's father, and they like sort of give lip service to that by just having him go at first like dad, and then guess again.
I know,
and it's Buzz, and it's like Zurg was a big letdown in this movie.
Agreed. I mean, even like I went on another podcast the other day called Only Stupid Answers, and we talked a bit about this movie, and the host of that brought up something kind of interesting in terms of the world building, though, is like, so he travels far to the future. I was very confused about the mechanics of why there's two Buzzes in the first place.
Yeah, and the more I think about it, the more I'm like, what?
Yeah, it didn't make sense. When you get into the time travel shenanigans, it's kind of just like, it just happens. It just works. But it's,
somebody in the comments is going to explain it all in detail.
Yo, and
please do.
I'll save you. I'll save you all the
read
time.
it. I got to be honest.
Nah, man. See, look. You send it to them. I don't care. Don't tell me.
Comment for me and the algorithm.
Draw the diagram. I need to see it visually.
I would like a full debate about the mechanics of it in the comments. It will help the algorithm. It will help us all. No, but he pointed out that so like he goes far into the future and he discovers this ship of robots, and then he like steals it and takes it over. So like that's something that could come, if there was ever going to be a sequel, could have come back into play, is like, what, like, whose ship did he take? Is the real Zurg? And maybe it's the real Zurg's ship, so maybe there's actually more going on to Zurg.
The Zurg suit is not originally his.
Exactly. So there's a little room for leeway there. I don't think this will get a sequel, although now that I think about it, granted, I don't know if it will happen, if it's popular enough for that to happen. This feels like a good candidate for them to do like a Disney Plus show, because like if you have the Space Ranger team, you just do a new mission every episode, episodic missions.
Just like the Saturday morning one.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Which is a weird one though, because everyone always brings that up as being like they've already done this. But that Pixar didn't really have anything.
That
to
wasn't
do with that
them.
Show.
Yeah, that wasn't them. However, like I could understand like the frustration of like even though y'all didn't do this, like what, like it would be cool, I guess, to like see a nod to it somewhere. You know what I mean? Like that, because it is such a big part of like how people contextualize the Toy Story films. I didn't realize how big of a deal it was for me until like I want to say like last week, when I was like, oh wait a minute, those aliens have nothing to do with Buzz.
Yes,
and it's
they're
because they
Planet.
put them with it in the cartoon, and I've always associated the two. Those aliens are with Buzz in the cartoon, so I just always associated
so funny.
The two.
Yeah, no, they were. But in
the
in the Toy Story universe, they're just the easy prize in the claw machine at Pizza Planet. Those are Pizza Planet branded aliens. Yeah. That is interesting. That was a thing that
the Pizza Planet truck. Is it in this? It's got it.
I didn't spot it. I did not spot it.
It's probably when he's on the
John
ground.
Ratzenberg
I didn't either.
I was looking out for that too.
I forgot about that. I'm gonna look that up. This is also like such a weird one because there's nothing Earth in this movie. Oh, it says Pixar regular John Ratzenberger does not appear in this one. First time, if I'm not mistaken.
That explains it.
Yeah,
that's why it's.
That's why you didn't hear it.
It's the missing piece, like shit.
So, what was I gonna say? I want to talk about. Did you guys see? I know we've already talked about how misguided their attempts to like connect us to Toy Story was. Like, and I think I'm very confident that opening text was added late in the game. Like, there's like they were just overly worried about people like not understanding how this fits.
I'm sure the market research was showing that people were confused about it.
Right. But like, it just, that kind of makes me sad for general audiences. It's not that complicated, you guys.
It's not.
Like,
and then
it's
so
like the MCU brain.
when
There's like, how does it connect? And I'm like, it doesn't need to.
It doesn't need to.
It's just,
and
just
like,
Buzz Lightyear.
it's weird because like it weirdly dates the movie too, because it says it pretty much stamps that the movie is made in 95.
Yeah.
Like, that is what they were trying to say. Like, it has a date on it and everything. Like, it's not even like a floating timeline. Remember we talked about these movies before and we were like, oh, it could be like a floating timeline because there's nothing like it.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck
it does.
that.
It does
All
mean
that
that the
shit
first
happened in
movie takes
95
place
now.
in 95.
Yeah.
Confirmed.
Yeah.
It's a weird place to get that confirmation.
Right.
They put out a little, it's kind of a cute little image. And it was like of Andy sitting with all his toys.
When I tried to go in the theater, they handed it to me.
What?
Yeah, it's in my living room.
So I just want to point out that if we're really gonna like buy into this idea that this is Andy going to see this fucking movie, why does he have the aliens? Why does he have the aliens that he got in the first Toy Story movie? Doesn't make any sense that he had them with him.
Why do none of the toys know who Buzz is, and everybody's confused when the toy shows up? Nothing about that image. Like, the more I stared at that image, the less it made sense. Like,
also, like, is Andy's like mom in the photo?
Nah, he just go by himself.
Let him bring all his toys.
Just dropped him off with all his toys and said, "All right, have fun."
It must not have performed very well in 1995 either. If there's open seats around him for his toys.
No, he bought 3 seats so that he could put all the toys there. Yeah.
Once you have a certain amount of toys, you got to buy the extra seat.
That's an L, man. He had the army men with him, like this fucking dweeb.
Them all up.
Bringing all of damn toys to the theater, man.
They really didn't need to go that hard, like just desperately connecting it to it. It's just like,
granted, I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, this breaks the fucking universe. Like, I don't really care.
Right.
It is just funny.
Agreed. Me either. What feels like they were like, I think there was two camps. There were people who were seemingly confused for real. There were other people who were like almost memingly joking about how, like, where does this fit into the timeline? There was like, it seemed like they were not really they didn't care that much about it. They were just kind of like going down the rabbit hole for the sake of it. Because then you had people like, if this is a live action movie I saw people talking about how, okay, so if this is a live action movie in this universe, which means they had to build a prop for Socks. So is Socks a toy that can talk when they're not filming in the Toy Story universe?
I guess that is an interesting question. Is in universe, is this a live action movie? I mean, I didn't really think about that.
They claimed it was.
I honestly think, I know this is a big animation podcast and a lot of animation fans listen to this, but I think this might have been better as a live action movie. And it would have really separated it from, like, I feel like it would have been less confusing.
Yeah,
and I think it would be rad as hell too.
Isn't that weird though? Even if it was the same thing and it had been live action, people for sure wouldn't have been like, well, how does it connect? Because like the different medium makes people able to separate it for some reason.
Yeah.
Which is dumb.
It is. It is pretty dumb.
Yeah. Also, So Mikey and I ended up going to the same showing of this on accident, which is funny.
It was funny.
So it was
actually,
it was you, Mikey, and Kevin.
And Kevin came. So like I had a seat. I had a good seat. I was texting Kevin that day. I was like, I'm gonna go see Lightyear 3, and he was like, I want to go. And so I canceled my seat, got 2 other seats somewhere else, and then when I got there, we're sitting there, and this trailer plays for E.T. in IMAX, playing in IMAX, and I was literally like, oh hell yeah, I'm gonna go see that. The moment it ends, I get a text from Mikey that just says E.T. re-release in IMAX, hell yeah. and I'm like, wait a second.
Where are you?
I'm a trailer texter. When I go to a movie, I'm texting all my friends during the trailers, like, "Yo, you see this trailer?"
It was funny. I looked around and saw him up in the higher seats. It was pretty funny.
That's good vibes.
But one thing we talked about at the end is like, okay, so if we're going off this premise that this is a movie in 1995, why is the only 2 toys are Buzz and Zurg? There's no other toys for Buzz Lightyear.
They didn't make any.
They didn't make
other characters.
There's no other characters, and
or
like
socks. Socks would for sure be a popular toy.
Socks would have been the most popular toy. That's the thing. Like that doesn't even make sense.
And
they didn't have
when they go to the toy store in the second one, and there's just a fucking wall of just
buzzes,
and then there's nobody.
I feel like when they showed all the people in cryo sleep, and then Buzz gets woken up, right? I feel like that was
it felt like a reference to
homage to the Buzz Lightyear aisle.
That's what it felt like.
Man, just think about how much more fun and adventurous and exciting the opening of Toy Story 2 is, as just like a Buzz mission.
Did you notice that? So it felt like that sequence on the Zurg ship when we find out that Zurg is future Buzz, and they're like fixing the crystal. They're like swapping out the crystal in the ship. That design reminded me a lot of that room in the Toy Story 2 like Buzz video game from the end of that sequence. It looked pretty similar, and it was like him and Zurg. So I thought that was what they're going for. My dog wants to play now. Come on, dude. Come on. Hey, come here.
Man, Zurg would be a good name for like a pet.
Zurg.
That's good. Okay, so what were there things about this movie you guys did like? Tom?
Yeah. We talked about it already, but all the emotional stuff with Buzz and Alicia.
Yeah.
I agree with
all
that.
that
I
stuff
think that sequence is great.
I loved all of that shit. Like I said, I love the sequence where he's just like missing everybody's life. I like the two characters that aren't Buzz, because I do like Buzz, and I do like his
Socks.
best friend. I love Socks, and I love Izzy, the granddaughter. I love both of them too.
Yeah.
I thought they were great, but I do wish that like, and they try really hard, and I do think what they do does work. I just wish there was a little more of Buzz and her talking back and forth, because I just felt like those emotions were the most interesting part of the movie at that point when they really started getting into it. It just kind of like, I don't know, like the expectations of filling in your grandmom's shoes and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I really wish they got more into it, but what they did, I did really like. I think that's the best part.
I do think I agree that like there are really great ideas with those, especially those two characters, and I think both could have been explored a little more thoroughly and a little more satisfyingly.
There is one of those like reference to the first movie shots that I really, really liked. I'm not gonna lie. It was when the wings finally come up and he's like, and they do the shot where he's like coming towards the audience and he's like flying and shit. I thought that was really fucking cool that they like snuck that in like that.
Actually,
I really like that.
I think as an action sequence, that bit at the end when they're trying to get out of the Zurg ship and he gets right back to the ship just when the Zurg ship self-destructs and everything flies out the airlock, and he has to put up his helmet just in time, and then he has to get into the one ship and get the thing out of the ship and then go down. Like I thought as an action sequence that was pretty good. There was some good suspense with it. The fact that he got his his helmet shut just before he goes out of the airlock. I thought that was a pretty well directed and well animated action sequence. Although it was just so late in the movie that by that point I was kind of like, all right, what's
I really like all the like space flight scenes where he's like trying to, get to see. It's funny because Top Gun Maverick, the opening scene is all about like him testing these planes and like trying to get it to like Mach 10 or whatever. So it's like gotta go faster and faster. But yeah, I loved all the space flight stuff, and I was so frustrated every time. Like there was like 3 times it felt like during the movie they're like going to take off and fly into space, and then there's like an explosion or something that like grounds the ship again, and it's like, oh, we're back down to the planet. It's like, just get out there.
Yes. And in general, like I think I think one of my biggest problems with the movie, I think I probably would have given it a little more love had the plotting been less linear. Like the stuff that does work is the beginning sequence that is not linear. It's like the whole time travel stuff, and you're seeing the world passing by and all that. That, like we've all said, we really love that part. But once it gets into Buzz landing back and meeting all the new people and them having to like solve the problem at hand, it feels like, okay, we need to go here to get this. Then we need to go here to get this. Then we need to go here to get this. It's just such a boring way to do it. It's like, it's literally just like a fetch quest. Like, okay, it's like, it feels like a video game quest without any dynamic storytelling happening. It's just like, go here, get this, then go here, get this, then go here, get this.
I also wish that I cared about Buzz's arc. Like, I can get down with the, like, he made a mistake and he just really wants to undo his mistake. But then there's also this thrown in, like, I'll do it all by myself. And then he has to learn to like let other people help him. But it's like, it seems very tacked on. Like they feel he just needs a little more of an arc.
Yeah, and the weird thing about it is that like his problem, and it wasn't even not letting people help him, because he obviously was fine with Alicia Hawthorne helping him, and it was just people who he felt were like rookies, who were underexperienced, and then when they threw on this whole added aspect where he's like, well, when I first went into the Corps, I was terrible, like they thought I was like, they were going to kick me out of the Space Rangers, but she saw something in me. I'm like, well, you should have learned this sooner then, dude. That was literally your origin.
Right. Yeah. What the fuck?
Yeah, I think you're right. Like that stuff, that's the part of his arc that I don't care about. I just wish they had maybe gone deeper in on the stuff where it's like dealing with your own mistakes in a healthy way and not letting it derail your entire life.
Yeah. Right.
Because like I do
move on and stuff.
Right. Because like we all like that. We like that opening sequence. And then on paper, I really like that arc. And I even like how that ties into future Buzz, even though I thought that was executed in such a hacky way. But because to actually have to face your literal self, who you then see has not let that go, and how it has.
How bad you got. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting.
I get it. And I agree. I did think that was really interesting. I just didn't.
You eye roll so hard at the reveal,
man.
Yeah.
Bro, I've never done anything like this before in my life, but like, I think when the twist happened, I think I like said out loud in the theater, like, I hate that. I think I said some shit like that. Like I said it out loud though. Like I've never done anything like that before.
I did that in Rise of Skywalker. There's one big reveal in Rise of Skywalker, and I just went, ugh. Yeah. That being said, like even though I walked out of this movie disappointed, and maybe part of that is because I was pretty optimistic about it. I was like also like there's that one trailer set to Bowie. That trailer is good. It's a good trailer.
Yeah. Dude, it's crazy how every trailer just started using Bowie
I know.
the last couple years.
But it works. That's the problem.
It sure does. The Everything Everywhere
works.
Trailer is great.
Yes, totally. I always think about the opening of Valerian, which we talk about a lot. Mikey.
Great use.
Have you ever seen Valerian, Tariq? What is it? The planet of 1,000 city of 1,000 planets.
City of 1,000 planets or whatever. Yeah.
It's not a great movie, Tariq, but cool. It's got really cool world building, and the opening sequence basically shows the space station above Earth, and it keeps moving forward in time and showing new alien species meeting the Earthlings there, and then like all joining, and the space station becomes bigger and bigger, and all of these alien species start to live together on this thing, and they do this great montage set to Bowie. It's is it the
Space
same?
Oddity.
Space Oddity, yes.
Yeah.
And it is such a fucking great sequence. You sit down in that movie and you're like, am I about to watch a masterpiece? And then it all goes downhill after that.
I know. It's like someone made the best possible music video for that song.
It's awesome. It's so cool. If you guys at home have never seen that opening sequence, I'm sure it's on YouTube. It's really fucking cool.
Or hey, maybe you'll like the movie, you know.
Maybe.
Valerian has its fans.
The problem I had with that movie is I was like, there are 100 other stories I would like to see set in this world, and it's not the one they're telling me. And it is really cool world building though. It's really cool. Yeah, but I know they don't use. Well, I guess they usually have people write original songs, but I was almost like the whole time like, oh, I wish there was some Bowie in this movie, like in Lightyear. Like, show me, even the sequence we like with him traveling, like that could have been a good Bowie music montage if you throw some Bowie.
What if they had like a Randy Newman song in it?
I had 5 stars, man.
Because the Toy Story soundtrack is the Lightyear soundtrack that Andy bought the soundtrack because he loved it so much.
Yeah, Mike. Yeah, this movie is by Michael Giacchino, who was not really in the industry in 1995.
At the climax of the movie, when Buzz says, "You've got a friend in me," and then does the thing.
That's bad vibes. So, what is the name of the actor that plays Buzz?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Good question.
That's a good
in
question.
that universe. Who is that? I
don't know. Actually, real quick, going back to what you just said, Mikey, you got a friend in me is from the Woody Roundup universe. We saw that. We saw that established in TS2.
That's true. So maybe
we're not going to get Roundup.
Is the Woody's Roundup soundtrack that Randy Newman did in the 50s.
It would be so funny if they were like, "All right, well, Lightyear didn't work. We're going Roundup now, baby."
No.
I think this might have dead our whole like Toy Story series on After Dark. I've been saying we got to do the gritty Woody movie.
Yeah, I need Roundup, but I don't think they're gonna do Roundup now.
Nope.
At this point, it's over.
I would watch a Pixar Western though. I know this is the hole I fell into with Lightyear 2, being like space adventure. Give me the space adventure, Pixar. And I'm like, yeah, Western, let's do it. No, you should probably do something original. We don't need a spin-off of the toy movies anymore.
They'll add a bunch of people to the Roundup crew and we're like, why weren't they there the whole time?
Right. Well, at least they already have Jesse and Bullseye and the Prospector. There's at least they exist, you know. Who would they add? Man, I do love those characters though. Who would play Jesse? We have Oliphant for Oliphant playing Woody.
Oliphant for Woody.
I feel like that's the move. Who's Jesse? Who we got for Jesse?
I don't know. It's hard to think of anyone else but Joan Cusack.
I know she's so iconic, but so is like Tom Hanks and Tim Allen.
Yeah. And Jim Hanks.
And Jim Hanks, that's right. Jim Hanks and all the spin-offs.
It could be like Charlize or something.
Charlize would be cool. Yeah. Although she was also in isn't she also in
Ways to Die in the West? Yeah, she's a Western icon.
Can we do that for Patreon?
We did the Teds.
Can we do it?
Honestly, I was when I was listening back to the TED episodes, I was like, we should probably do A Million Ways to Die in the West.
Like
have y'all seen A Million Ways to Die in the West?
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You saw that shit.
I am kind of curious. I do kind of want to watch it.
That's so funny.
I think it was the movie.
It was the movie pass summer. Yeah.
Going to everything.
Mikey, I lived with Mikey during the movie pass days, and like it felt like every day you were looking. We're like, all right, what can I see today? What can I see today?
I would see movies multiple times, especially because we lived without AC.
Yes,
in the
that's
middle
true.
Of the summer in LA.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck it.
That
I'll
was
see The
miserable.
Gift for a fourth time. The Joel Edgerton movie.
Yeah. Not the Sam Raimi movie.
No.
Right. Different one.
Different gift.
Different gift.
Different gift.
trying to think what else. So, I mean, talking Michael Giacchino, I've talked to Mikey about this a lot. Michael Giacchino, and he's put out a handful of sound scores that are like some of my favorites. Like he's done some scores that I love so much, but he's also put out so many that feel so forgettable and underwhelming. And there was not much about the score in this that stood out to me.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, they're never bad. They're never like distractingly bad. They always fit.
I just feel like he just works so much that it's.
I know it's too much almost. Yeah. Because like looking at his whole filmography, his incredible score for both films, incredible. Those are so good. So
yeah. Nice, good job.
Yeah. The one that I thought should have been great was he did Star Wars. He did Rogue One. Granted, he had to jump on late because they had someone else lined up to do it, who is Alexander
Desplat, which I mean
yeah.
would kill to hear what his take
he's
on
got
that
to
would have been.
Sometime.
I mean, because he's a really great composer.
And there's a couple tracks in Rogue One that I don't like dislike, but it's so weird because the biggest thing about Star Wars is that soundtrack. The soundtrack is always memorable. There's always I walk out of every Star Wars movie with some track in my head, and even the movies that I don't like as much in that franchise. And his was a little forgettable in that. And then there was another spinoff, Solo, and they had was it John Powell, and that one I really liked the score too. I had a few tracks from that stuck in my head after that movie, and I was like, wow, Giacchino got shown up. His Star Trek score is incredible. This is the main theme for. It's so good. One of my favorite scores. It's so good. It's like and especially because he came into a franchise that has a bunch of iconic theme songs, a bunch of iconic themes, and he created another iconic theme. That's difficult to do. Immediately a great theme that I associate specifically with Star Trek. I think you're right though. He just works too much, and he does a lot of stuff that like he comes in to work on franchises that have existed for a while, like Jurassic World. I don't remember much about his Jurassic World scores.
I think the first Jurassic World, I mean, he uses the themes in the other ones, but he adds some nice themes to it that are like similar to the Jurassic Park theme. I mean, I don't really like those movies that much, but he did a decent job.
Yeah, I got to rewatch those. I actually do like his Spider-Man score. That one's grown on me a lot. Granted, mostly because those are the only MCU movies I ever rewatch are the Spider-Man movies. But he's got some really nice plucky string situations in there that make it feel like it I don't know, like the whole web thing and using strings to pluck it. Like I feel I associate that in my brain, which is nice. Yeah. Granted, I think they're also, even though I do like those, some of my least favorite themes of all the Spider-Man movies. They're just good at doing Spider-Man themes.
There's some good ones, some bangers in there.
Exactly. But
Lightyear couldn't even come close to picturing the Lightyear score.
No, me either.
Saw it a couple days ago.
Can't hear it at all, which is a bummer. I do, like I said before, though, like I kind of wish this wasn't flopping because I do feel like it could have been fun to see that. Because like the things that you were saying, Mikey, you were just like, oh, I can't wait to see them go to space. I kept feeling like, well, they're pretty much just on this one planet the whole time. I thought we were going to see Space Ranger adventuring to other places, seeing these missions. And now that they've kind of set that up, that's what they are now. I would be open to seeing a sequel where we actually get to visit more varieties of planets, getting to see a real space adventure.
More like a jetpack and like come up with actual action with it rather than just making it one scene at the climax,
Agreed. And it does seem like they all have wings now because they have the button instead of the So yeah. What were you saying, Tariq?
I do think that I think they do a good job showing you Buzz's guilt, but one thing that they focus on is what it means to not only Buzz but the people around him when the film begins, like what it means to be a space ranger and how that is super important to them, and it's something that they look forward to, and it's something that they miss when they can't do it anymore. And I think a lot of that is I think a lot of it is like they're telling us that this stuff is important to them, but we don't get to see how that makes them feel. Like we see them for like, I want to say like 2 minutes, like as normal, and then like immediately they got to get back on the ship, and that's when the inciting incident to the movie happens or whatever. But I do think it just kind of like, I think the film would have benefited a little more from just a little bit of like what that was like for them, and like why is that important to them, and like why do they care so much, that kind of thing.
I agree. It felt like, while on paper there's some really good, interesting ideas here, everything just felt a little thin,
Yeah,
which is disappointing.
that's
Especially
that's
because
really all it is. Like it doesn't,
especially, yeah.
like besides like again the twist, which I personally don't like. Besides that, like the movie didn't do anything to like, well, I mean, and I guess that thing with Andy at the beginning, but I don't think that's their fault.
Right.
I think they might have been told to do that, but I don't think the movie does anything like, I don't think the movie does anything like blatantly like oh, this is fucking awful, like, you know what I mean, like kind of thing. Like it's just kind of like, I think all of the puzzle pieces are there to be something really interesting, and I think they tap a lot of really interesting ideas, but none of them ever like go full on to make you feel like this overwhelming emotion like a lot of Pixar movies do, that make you feel like, oh fuck, this is cool, or oh fuck, this is really sad, or
And
like, you know
that's
what I
the
mean,
thing,
like,
is like they're so good at those arcs normally.
mhm,
Even in movies that I don't like as much, generally they do a good job with those, with like really
right,
thoroughly conveying those arcs. And
yeah,
this, so like, especially when you're going to see a Pixar movie, it feels like a letdown
because
when they feel thin.
even like my lesser favorite Pixar movies, or like the known lesser favorite ones, right? Like people don't like The Good Dinosaur, or people don't like people kind of think like Monsters U is just kind of like okay. They think of it kind of on the same tier as this one, actually, if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
But like when I think back to The Good Dinosaur and Monsters U, I can think back to two very specific emotional beats that like I love, that like are some of my favorite like Pixar. You know what I mean? Like
totally.
I could still feel that way about those. And I think while I don't know if I like this better than Monsters U or not, like
I
the
like
the
Monsters
feeling
U
is
better.
different because I don't have a moment like that in this one. Like I don't have, at least in Monsters U, there's still that thing that like makes me go like, oh, but that's why they had to make this, because they had to get to this point. They had to tell this story. They had to make Mike learn this lesson, you know. And like I don't know if there's like a moment in this one where it clicked for me where I was like, you know, I feel like they had to do this. Like even Toy Story 4, like people were saying like, oh, it's unnecessary, and then you finally get to it and you're like, oh, that's why they had to do it. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like there's always a moment in Pixar movies
It
that
definitely doesn't
that's why they had
feel
to do
like
that.
Lightyear. Like, it doesn't feel like they started with character with this. I mean, it seems like somebody had the idea to do a Buzz Lightyear
Right.
movie, and that was like where it started.
You're right. And that
Yeah.
might be, that kind of explains a lot too, because obviously that's where it started, because they already have the character before they have the
That's
idea.
true.
And then they start to reverse engineer stuff based on the catchphrases and based on the things they say in the other movies. It feels like they should have it feels like they almost should have just thrown everything away that we knew from the Toy Story movies and been like, okay, let's build a character from the ground up. He'll just look like Buzz, you know, and we can throw in catchphrases later. So that is all a little disappointing.
What about the tech? What do you guys think of all the kind of old school tech?
I did
That
want to
was
bring
cool.
that up. I'm surprised we haven't talked about it. That's probably my favorite thing about the movie aesthetically. The production design is so great. Absolutely loved like it. First of all, the initial premise, very Alien, where they're just like, oh shit, there's something we need to divert the main course from and go check out on this planet. It's and then as soon as I thought that, you start looking at all of the dongles and the switches and the way that the technology looks, and it's all very analog, which is very Alien. Like everything is very analog and Alien, and that is something I loved. One of the reasons I love the world and the world building is because I was like, oh, I want to see more of these spaceships. I want to see more of this technology.
When he blows into the cartridge, that was probably
Oh,
one of the only like real laughs I had. In the
I
movie.
did.
just thought
I
that was
did get a
funny.
laugh out of me.
It was great. It was so funny. Yeah, it felt like they were trying to do more with the Ivan thing than they were able to do.
You know what's the thing that I thought was going somewhere that I just now realized didn't really, is like the like vines that keep like grabbing him and trying to pull him away.
Yeah.
That was like a constant through it.
Right. It's I guess it's just them visualizing the planet fighting against them, but like what if it had some kind of explanation that the vines had something more going on for them? You know?
I mean, I thought, because they're always like cutting it off, like I thought it was going to be he was going to get fully dragged away at some point, and it was going to like, you know, reverse our expectations on like what was going on at the planet or something.
For sure.
Not really.
Nope, they didn't do that. Yeah, I think we're pretty much on the same page there. It's it was underwhelming. It's such a bummer. I really was optimistic about it. And that's not to say I hated it, but it is like,
Right.
I didn't love it. Didn't love it. Wanted to like it a lot more than I did. And cool things about it, wouldn't be opposed to another one if they can get a better story, because I think the world is cool. But I don't know if that's going to happen. Not sure if we'll ever see that.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Praying for him though, man. That shit is crazy.
What's on the horizon for Pixar? I think it is telling, and probably a good thing for the future of the company, that, granted, we don't know what they look like box office wise because they all came out on Disney Plus, but from a audience response perspective, it seems like Soul, Turning Red, Luca, all very positive responses from the audience members. And those are the movies that are doing something new and different. They are moving. They're originals, not sequels or spinoffs. And also, like, granted, Soul has a little bit of the like classic Pixar vibes in terms of the like soul aspect world, but like Luca and Turning Red feel pretty different for like the usual Pixar shtick. They've got different vibes and ideas, and the fact that those films did very well, at least critically, hopefully that bodes well for the future of the company, because we don't actually have much announced. What the next one is? We know at least one, and that's the Elemental one. The Elemental.
Shit, is that really the only one we know?
I think it's the only one they've announced. Yes, and it's coming out, and it's coming out next year in June. So they must be pretty deep into that one. Yeah, and then they have 2 dates booked in 2024. So there will be only one next year, and then they have 2 booked for 2024, and we have no idea what those are. And we're getting into now the Pete Docter era. Like a lot of the stuff before was remnants of time at Pixar still, and then Pete Docter kind of takes over. And I think Turning Red was the first one that he greenlit, was like, okay, let's do this one. So and I think Lightyear was still from the era as well. So I'm eager to see what the future holds for the company.
I think you meant to say disgraced director.
Sorry. Disgraced head of creative at Pixar.
Oh man.
So this was just a random little tangent. We talked about, I don't remember on what we talked about it. Some episode we talked about that film Newt that they had in development that got canceled because of Rio. Somebody DM'd me, thanks to whoever sent this to me. They sent me a little piece of a commentary from a Simpsons episode where the director the animation director, was supposed to be the director on Newt. And they like literally introduce her as like director at Pixar. And she like kind of name drops like, yeah, I'm doing this movie called Newt. And like, they were deep into that. Such a bummer.
Honestly, finish it. Nobody remembers Rio.
It's true.
Still lying around. They can pick up Newt. Why not?
Or they could just do Rio.
Honestly, why not? Why not? Okay, something that I'm looking at right now that I didn't know. So I'm looking through this list of movies, and next to a lot of these directors, they have little number or little letters that have annotations. And C, which was this one was co-directed. Wait, where is it? Monsters Inc. So that's the Pete Docter. Did you know that was co-directed by David Silverman and Lee Unkrich? I knew, like Lee
I did know
Unkrich
that.
co-directed. I didn't know that. David
I did know
Silverman
that.
co-directed
Yeah.
Monsters Inc.
I didn't know that.
That's I
'Cause
had no idea.
The
legend.
I think that's one of the things, because I think he left The Simpsons for a little bit, and I think that's one of the things he did.
Oh wow, that's cool. I love David Silverman. Also, I love Monsters Inc. Love Monsters Inc. Great movie. We should probably cover that on the Patreon sometime. Cool. You guys got any other thoughts about Lightyear before we wrap this up?
Oh man,
Any
nah.
other thoughts about
Like I
Lightyear?
said, didn't like hate it. You know what I mean? Didn't
Yeah.
love it, but like didn't like hate it. I don't think it's a bad movie. I just think it like did a couple things that
It's not a
like
great
I
movie.
personally don't
Do
like.
you want to talk more about Socks? Seems like he's the
Oh,
big
yeah,
hit
we
of
didn't
the
talk
movie.
Love
Socks.
Socks.
Socks
Great
is
cat.
Socks is the big hit.
Socks
I know-
sucks.
Character.
What?
Mikey, I know Mikey wasn't as big on Socks as we are.
I've
I thought
seen-
Socks was
Yeah.
fun.
I think you know, to me the thing about Socks is it's just so there's literally no reason for it to be a cat, a cute cat, and it's so like cute baiting.
Toyetic.
It's
It's
like
very
we need to put
toyetic,
something
yeah.
in here that everybody's gonna like, so let's just have a cute cat, and it works. But maybe I'm just
Hey, man.
cynical about it.
It's a cute cat.
A cute
Well, I
cat
guess-
going meow meow meow. It's like why in this movie is that a thing? It could have been
Yeah.
like a droid
He
of some
kept me
kind or
happy.
something.
You're right.
You know?
I guess the way I read it was that like the whole point of that character was like, oh, it's basically like a therapy droid for him, so it
Right,
needs to be
right,
something
right.
cute. It was just funny that it ended up becoming like such a key droid character.
Who
I did
voices
laugh.
Socks.
Oh, good question.
It was a good voice
Let's look
performance,
that up.
I will say.
Yes, it was for sure. Voice cast. Let's see. Peter Sun, director of upcoming Elemental. That is one of the
Oh.
Pixar directors. Wow. Well done, Peter Sun. Killing it. I understand that it is like easy to be cynical about it. It's just a toy. It's just here to sell toys. Like that's what it is.
Yeah, and it's just such a
But-
stock like Disney comic sidekick.
Yeah, I laughed every time though that his like I laughed when he, instead of having like a beep, he just goes beep. Like he says it, like he says beep. I thought that was funny. And also just like the like that his alert is just like the meow 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 thing. Like that's I just found that funny. I just
love
found it funny.
I love all
Yeah.
of it. I
Yeah.
love when Kiki Palmer like starts to pet him, and then he's like, "What are you doing to my fucking cat?"
Oh man.
You guys
yeah,
ever see Lost in Space, 1998?
I saw it
seen-
in 1998. Haven't seen it since.
Ooh.
I've
watched
seen
it
the
somewhat
Family
recently.
Matters series finale that's also called Lost in Space.
I think that's what it's based on. Not the 60s
they're
TV show.
they're connected. Yeah.
Oh, but Lost in Space, the movie, has a lot in common with this because it's like about being marooned, and it also
Right.
has the time travel element. And there's spoilers for Lost in Space. There's
That's
two Will
right.
Robinsons at the end.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I thought about that
Wow.
movie a lot.
Next on the Patreon, Lost in Space, 1998.
And I feel like
Uh,
Interstellar.
can we,
I feel like
I
was
like
a big
Interstellar.
influence
I
here,
actually would
especially
love
like
to talk
the,
about Interstellar.
the temporal
Can we do Taxi
stuff.
Driver? I watched that today.
Oh,
Did you?
Shit.
Yeah, let's do Taxi Driver after this.
Oh man,
I would love to talk
that.
about that. I'm curious. I do feel like we, to a degree, owe our audience stuff that they want us to talk about.
You
And
I know
I'm
that
not,
would be
That's
the
the
I'm not
biggest
convinced.
swerve ever. I mean, we also talked about doing Wolf of Wall Street. We should
We
just
did.
like,
I was
spin off
fucking-
into a Scorsese.
A Scorsese one,
I
yeah.
would
podcast.
kill to do the Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah. Well, that spinoff should, like, the title should be about. We should just ignite the superhero debate in the title. Like,
Yeah.
like-
You can't
Finally,
make these
real cinema.
anymore.
yeah, real cinema, the podcast. That's funny. Cool. Well, this was great. If you guys liked hearing us talk about Lightyear, you want to hear us talk a little more positively about Pixar films, check out the Patreon where we cover
you want to hear
4
me,
Toy Stories.
That's true.
If you want to hear Mikey
more,
honestly, I
came with the takes during the Shrek movies, during the Paddington movies, during the Toy Story movies. These are takes you're going to want to hear.
It's true.
That's all I'll say.
It's true. Look, you're gonna come to Cartoons That Curse After Dark for Johnny and Tariq. You're gonna stay for Mikey. That's how it is.
That's how it goes.
And just ask any of the cursed ones. Ask any of them, and they'll all say it's not the same without Mikey. They only listen to the cursed ones now. That's it. Mm-hmm. This is great though. I'm glad we talked about Lightyear. All things considered, good discussion about the film. I feel like there was a lot to actually really dive into with this one. And I had a nice time chatting it over with you boys.
I'm excited to hear what people will think about this movie too, because I haven't really talked to anybody about it except you guys.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen. It seems like there's a lot of similar opinions online. People are kind of "Oh, it was not great," and then I have seen some people who fucking hated it.
Shit.
Yeah, and I'm kind of
that's OD. That's nice.
I feel like those are people with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder about Pixar stuff or something, because it's some of the takes I'm just it feels like you're going a little too hard. This is pretty harmless, all things considered.
Well, I mean, it did ruin my childhood, I gotta say. So.
Fair enough.
Forgive that.
Yeah. Well, this was great, guys. And if you again check out the Patreon if you're interested in hearing more Toy Story talk, and if you are a cursed one, please let us know what you want us to talk about on the Patreon. Even if you're not a cursed one, let us know what movies us talking about on the Patreon would get you to sign up for the Patreon. With the Patreon, you get a couple perks. 1, 2 extra episodes a month, usually talking about a movie. You get those. You get your own feed talking about the entire Cartoons That Curse After Dark feed, and that feed not only has these extra episodes, but when we drop part 1 and part 2 of our other episodes, when we drop Simpsons part 1 and part 2, you actually get the full thing 1 week early on those feeds. You also get the full video versions on YouTube, even though we keep those unlisted just for you to be able to watch. So
without ads too.
Without ads
for that first week.
That's right. No ads for the first week. We're not charging you twice. No. That's right. So check those out. We would love to have you aboard. But also just thanks for listening to our main feed as well. We couldn't do it without y'all. Couldn't do it.
If you suggest a movie that we cover on the Patreon and you don't sign up for the Patreon, we will track you down.
we will find you. And also thanks for the great response to our return. Our Bob's Burgers episode did well, and our Simpsons episode is doing incredibly well, which makes me feel great considering we love The Simpsons so damn much. It kind of, and granted, it is a long episode, 3.5 hours.
I'm about to say, I appreciate the love on it because I just felt like we would just kind of look like assholes if we put our dick on the table and talked for 3 hours and the shit didn't it didn't do well.
And I was pretty happy with how it performed the first few days. I was like, oh, this is doing pretty well, but we got a nice surge the last couple days, and it is definitely it's one of our best performing episodes since our first few. Our best performing episode is still definitely our first Futurama episode, because you got a lot of people checking out the pod for the first time, and this is the first one that just feels like it's got legs and it's doing really well. And granted, we'll have to talk over when we keep covering The Simpsons, because the seasons are very long. Those might look a little different. They might come out in 3 parts, because we talked for 3.5 hours about 13 episodes. So when we get to a 22 to 25 episode season, we can't do it that long. If we did a 25 episode season and talked for 7 hours, that's a lot.
No, that's bad vibes.
It's too much, but we are very excited to talk that. You will probably be hearing spoilers next week. Probably King of the Hill. Probably going to get our King of the Hill stuff, and we're eager for you to hear all of that stuff. So, yeah, you guys got anything else? You got anything to plug?
Nah. Not me.
Cool. Not really.
I would appreciate it if you guys went to watch my Has Been Hotel video. No, not Has Been Hotel. Hell of a Boss, the other one.
Hell of a Boss, good video.
Little bit of a flopperoonie, but could be worse. Could be worse. I didn't put a sponsor on it, so they're not mad. Nobody's mad.
Because everybody's out seeing Dominion. Dominion is just taking over.
Man, I can't believe people care more about Jurassic World Dominion than they do my video about Hell of a Boss.
That's what whenever anything in my life flops, it's gonna be like, it's Dominion. It's
Dominion.
Dominion.
Dominion just hit VOD. That's why.
That's why, dude.
Oh man. All right. Well, thanks so much for tuning in, folks. And with that, I want to thank Carrie Feek for our artwork. I want to thank Jake Neutron for an amazing theme song. I want to thank Tunerific Tariq for being my co-host here. I want to thank Michael Yunez for producing and editing the podcast, being our co-host on After Dark and for this episode on Lightyear. And we want to thank all the cursed ones for the Patreon subscriptions. We want to thank everyone else for listening and watching. And with that, to infinity and thank you very much.